There are over 35,000 museums within the United States, welcoming over 850 million visitors each year. Did you ever wonder what goes on behind the scenes in museums, creating the displays and exhibits we all enjoy? Join us as we explore museums and their exhibits from the inside out. Hi, I'm Leslie Mueller. Welcome to Museum Access, the show that takes you behind the scenes at America's top museums. Today we're live from River North in Chicago at the Museum for Broadcast Communications for a special exhibition called Saturday Night Live: The Experience. We'll take a behind-the-scenes look at the entire creative process, the writer's journey, the table read, the set design process, makeup and costume design, and finally the live show on Saturday night. So are you ready for a deep dive into a crazy work week filled with creative chaos? Let's go. Before we begin our behind-the-scenes adventure at SNL, let's learn a little more about the Museum of Broadcast Communications. So Julian, tell me, where are we standing now?
We're on the Meet the Press set, where Tim Russert interviewed all sorts of people for many, many years while he ran his show. He donated it when the show was done.
How nice. I mean, this is a great set, and I know there's all sorts of different memorabilia from broadcasting days here. Tell me what else we can see here.
You can see a whole lot of fascinating things. Just last night, Julia Sweeney donated her It's Pat costume to on long-term loan. Yep, the big one. We have all of the original Bozo costumes from the Bozo
I remember those
show.
days. Yeah.
We have Garfield Goose here. We have Svengoolie's coffin. We have a dress from I Love Lucy.
Oh my
goodness. We have all sorts of fascinating stuff that I think people are going to enjoy, no matter what era of television or radio they grew up in.
So I know the Museum of Broadcast Communications is a landmark here in Chicago, but what can we look forward to? Lots of changes coming up?
Absolutely. So we'll continue to collect and display a lot of those things which are great options in our nostalgia about Chicago television and radio, in national television and radio, but we also want to dive into some of the more deeper issues surrounding broadcast communications. How does it affect society around us? And today, anyone can be a broadcaster if you have a cell phone and want to start taking movies of yourself and put it out there. But what does that mean? How do kids engage in that broadcasting role and do it in a smart way? Because you're putting yourself out there, that media never really goes away, so make sure you understand what it is you're getting into.
And it's probably being taught differently too at universities. Journalism has to be.
That's absolutely right. Journalism now is sort of a continuum between radio and television and internet. Things are synchronous and asynchronous. There used to be just a couple different radio stations or television stations, and now there are hundreds of those.
And podcasts.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
And each one is narrow casted at a particular type of audience. So really diving into those kinds of issues, like how has broadcasting really changed? How are they focusing in on audiences? How does that change the conversation we have around the water cooler on Monday morning? When we haven't all watched the same television show, but you've watched yours and I've watched mine, how does that affect the political conversation that we're having? All of those things are things the Museum of Broadcast Communication is going to be really well situated to have conversations about.
So Justin, we're so looking forward to seeing this exhibition, but tell me, where are we here? I see familiar faces.
Yeah, so we are at the start of the exhibit. First thing people see is the SNL Legacy Wall. And this is every single SNL cast member that's come through, starting with the very first one, Dan Aykroyd, which was the first contract signed, all the way through the end, which is Luke Null, who's the most current cast member.
So what are the Chicago roots? I know some of these folks came from Chicago, right?
Absolutely. A lot of the people that you see up here actually got their start here in Chicago, either with Second City or IO Chicago. So those are both two of the epic improv companies here in the city. But yeah, a good portion of these people either are from Chicago, got their start here somehow, or they came through the Chicago School of Comedy.
Well, I'm so looking forward to this. So why don't we get in there and see some of these faces in action?
We'll start the tour.
Great.
Come on this way. So we're in the elevator bay at 30 Rock. Live from New York, it's Saturday night. So it's Monday. We walk into Lauren's office with the host, and the host and Lauren at this point, they'll kind of meet, talk about what they want to do on the show, or maybe what they're comfortable with, maybe what they don't want to do, and kind of go from there. In the Monday gallery, we have Lauren's actual desk that's used on the 9th floor. Tuesday is all about writing. As you can see here, we've got 4 different head writers from 4 different areas of SNL that are talking about their experience. We also then have Stuart Smalley over here, and we also have original scripts right here in the middle of the room.
I can't remember when the last time was that I went home on a Tuesday night.
It's really a night that everyone dreads.
You're only a day away from sort of being judged by the group, and nothing I feel motivates a writer more than the judgment of their peers.
And every week you're kind of grappling with your own self-doubt again and just wondering if you're going to be funny this week.
Collaborating was one of those things that sort of took the edge off how lonely SNL could feel.
I think almost everything gets written in groups of 2 or 3 people. A lot of the times it's a cast member, a lot of times it's just another writer that you connect with really well.
Most of what we did was hang around and, throw ideas at each other, try to make each other laugh.
Then once you get on the roll of something, it's so fun.
You fooled around and put things off until you actually had to buckle down and get to work. Then you pulled a furious all-nighter.
I got a gift from a writer named Tishon Shannon, who was a senior writer when I started, and I remember it was late one night, and I was sitting alone in my office working, and the office next to mine was howling with laughter.
It's definitely terrible to hear people laughing. That makes you really upset because it seems like they've cracked something and you haven't.
Just howling with laughter, and Tishon walked by with a coffee and poked his head in and pointed a finger into that office and said, "That's gonna bomb tomorrow."
In a bad week, it can be one of the hardest things ever because you do feel like everyone else has a great idea except you when you're having those weeks.
I think the fear and the terror is ultimately good for the creative process, and I think you're always glad you went through it once you're on the other side of it.
They handed me the printed thing and it was hot, and that is one of the most delicious, visceral feelings for me from SNL is knowing that you finished it and that you are done, and good or bad, you're done.
In the fever dream of a sleepless night and too many Red Bulls, I wrote this crazy thing, and now, Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader are making it sing, and everybody's gonna sort of slap me on the back afterwards. That payoff is really incredible.
So in Wednesday, we have a few things going on here. Wednesday is all about the actual table read when they're choosing what sketches they're going to pick for Saturday night. So they start with about 40. They take about 20 at a time, and they go through the read. That day doesn't start until Lauren actually enters the room, and he is the man in charge at that point. In this room, we have Cecily Strong and Kenan Thompson both talking about their experience at the writer's table.
Wednesday is kind of like the most important day of the week because that's where we choose what the show is going to be.
There's a cast around the table, Lauren and the host, sit on the edge of the table.
He's the man. When the man comes, people notice, you know what I'm saying? And nobody starts the meeting but him.
Everybody's in the room, every head of every department, so you're hoping for all of their laughs.
Everybody's laughing, everybody's having a good time. You see Lauren over there having a good time, you know, he's Obi-Wan Kenobi. When he's having fun, everybody's having a good time. So, you know, it's a very, like, you know, roller coaster-ish type of day.
You may practice another song or go over some things. The writers will come talk to you about things they've written you in. Then we do another 20.
There's been a lot of great people that have been coming through here. So who do you think you are, you know what I mean? Or how funny do you think you are in comparison to what's happened, and then now prove it.
You go to a little back room and talk to hair, makeup, props, sets, and sort of say what you want for your scene.
Now it's gonna be a real thing. It's not just like a book report that you turned in and got an A on. It's like now you gotta bring that entire book report to life in the caliber of a Saturday Night Live 40-year-old show that's just known for a lot of the greatest comedy in the last 40 years. You know what I mean? Like when you start thinking about it that way, it can blow your mind a little bit.
We also have Steve Martin's iconic King Tut outfit here. Now this is both from the original and the 40th anniversary. Fun fact, Steve Martin, of course, many people think that Steve Martin was actually a cast member. Steve Martin was never a cast member on SNL. He was a guest many times though. And of course, we're midweek at this point, and things are really starting to ramp up, and things are moving very quickly. We have the table read going on, but then right after that table read, they're gonna dive into set construction and figuring things out. The sketches have been approved. Now we go into Wednesday night. And what happens Wednesday night, they actually figure out what are these sets gonna look like? How are they making them? Because Thursday morning at 6 a.m., it's showtime for construction.
But it's actually incredibly thought out how we get it done in a week. And I can remember show one like it was yesterday.
That's right. They didn't have cars then.
No cars.
Eugene and I used to do the show alone when the show actually was funnier.
When it was funny.
I love the show. That's why we keep doing it. There's something fascinating about live television.
Thursday morning, we're now transported from 30 Rock all the way to Brooklyn, where all the sets are designed. Because of course, 30 Rock does not have the space to create these iconic sets. They've always been done in the Navy Yards in Brooklyn. Stiegelbauer, who's done the sets for many years for SNL, they've got a giant warehouse there. All set construction happens on Thursday. Everything. So whether it be a podium or a car that has to be recreated and somehow, they start to actually put all this together. They literally have that one day because then they have to transport all of these back from Brooklyn to 30 Rock. In this room, we have a few very iconic things. We have the Jeopardy podiums. Many people know those epic sketches. We also have the 40th anniversary Wayne's World set. Something that's a little different than most museums is we actually allow people to interact with this part of the exhibit, sit down on the Wayne's World couch. This room is really a true interactive experience where you're actually touching different props that these amazing comedians have touched. So Friday is all about hair, makeup, prosthetics, and costumes. Prosthetics have been used at SNL since 1975, all the way from the iconic cone heads all the way to today. Now, of course, as technology has evolved, so has the look, the feel of all these different prosthetics you see.
I'm Louis Zakarian. I'm the makeup department head here at Saturday Night Live. I get to build some of the fun-filled, crazy stuff you see behind me. It's always a challenge week after week.
Asking you questions, you're doing it right, you're doing okay. Just give me
it's that bad, huh?
Yeah, just give me a
Once this kicks, you'll see it's gonna kind of, your face will be stuck in whatever position it kicks in. So if you're smiling, the cast will have a smile. Knowing Bobby he wants a big muscle suit and wants to be the Hulk, so we got to build a fun Hulk suit.
Hulk feel like he doing all the fighting right now.
Did a body cast of Bobby, full torso body cast of him. Then we would start sculpting the clay, and building the forms that we need out of clay.
So at the same time that all the prosthetics are being created, also wigs are being developed, and also all the iconic costumes. And as you see here, we have everything from the cheerleaders to Coneheads to Alec Baldwin's Donald Trump outfit.
It's those rare moments that the costume and the actor and the moment kind of collide.
He is Hans. And he is Franz. And we just want to pop you off. Here's you, here's Matt. There's you, there.
And something happens kind of beyond anyone's expectation. Oh, that moment this happened or that happened. It was, no one realized it would be that good.
That was great.
And the costume played such, for me, then the costume was so important for that to happen. I think the performers are like frontline, and our job is to make that work for them. Because in the end, it's them, and they're alone. They're out there with the light and the costume and the prop and the set.
Our changes are very quick, and of course, the guest star has the most changes.
Some of the changes that the hosts do are crazy quick. 50-second, minute and 10-second changes. But Donna and Jerry make it happen every time. You never wait for wardrobe.
Quickest change I ever did was 10 seconds. Justin Timberlake, bring it on down to Omeleteville. And you get that phone call from Lorne that, I want to go from monologue into the first sketch. And it was 10 seconds. And I was like, well, we can do it if, number one, we can underdress his unitard. He had an all-in-one white unitard underneath. Of course, the suit had to become tearaway. Nobody can get in my way. Because if somebody gets in my way, they're going to be dead.
Come on into Benny's. Who's hungry for a rootin' tootin' fresh?
Somebody say they were hungry. And then afterwards, my knees were shaking like when you get pulled over by an officer. You know that feeling of adrenaline?
Bring it on into Omeleteville.
It was a huge adrenaline rush. And we did it.
Sometimes it's not only the sketches that become iconic, but also some of the product parodies as well. So we have everything in here from the Super Bass-O-Matic to Colon Blow to Oops, I Crap My Pants. All of them. They're all in here.
Yes, fish eaters, the days of troublesome scaling, cutting, and gutting are over. Because Super Bass-O-Matic 76 is the tool that lets you use the whole bass with no fish waste without scaling, cutting, or gutting. Here's how it works. Catch a bass, remove the hook, and drop the bass. That's the whole bass into the Super Bass-O-Matic 76. Now adjust the control dial so that bass is blended just the way you like it.
It would take over 30,000 bowls. To eat that much oat bran, you'd have to eat 10 bowls a day every day for 8.5 years.
Wow! I think I get the picture.
So Justin, tell me, what day is it and where are we?
So it is Saturday. Just went through the Friday galleries. We saw the costumes and everything there. And now we're up in Studio 8H. We're actually backstage right now. This is our recreation of backstage. So you'll see everything from dressing tables to some different mannequins with some famous Chicago icons. We also have the quick change rooms. We have the doors here that actually say studio closed.
And
no
I think
access.
I see a cue card back
there
there.
There is.
Even.
So this is actually one of the cue cards from the 40th anniversary show. And of course, live from New York, it's Saturday night, one of the most iconic that you'll see here. But then we also have just this is really the feel of backstage at 30 Rock, right before a show. So we're in the control room, where all the technical magic happens. Guests also, when they come into the control room, can pick up all these different phones and they can hear the audio from some of these iconic either screw-ups that happened on the show, whether it be Chris Farley getting stuck on the lighting issue, John Belushi actually cutting someone during his with a samurai sword.
Oh no, did that really happen?
Yeah, it absolutely did. And also another famous one here is Mike Myers being so surprised that Barbra Streisand walks on and he's dressed up as Linda Richmond.
That.
So there's some really fun things going on here. And again, the other thing that guests see here is they actually hear the producer calling the show, the director calling the show, the producer is actually kind of walking through what happens in the control room here.
So we're in the countdown.
We're in the countdown. It is in between kind of that dress rehearsal and going to live.
Ready, 31. Have a great show, guys. Here we go. Roll 31. Up on it, QJ. And go 1. Dissolve 1.
So we're about a minute away from showtime. Right behind us, we've got the actual Jeopardy podiums and the set pieces that were used on the show. But then as we actually go through here, you'll also see our iconic home base. This is exact to scale. It's made by Stiegelbauer, so the same company. They actually came and installed it as well.
Oh
here. Now guests then sit down in our theater here. They actually see an 8-minute mini version of SNL. And at the same time they're doing that, if they look at these other areas here, they're actually seeing what's going on behind the scenes.
So if you were in the audience,
they're seeing the set pieces move, they're seeing all the different crew moving lighting equipment and the set pieces and costume people running around. So it really is, it's a true interactive ending.
Repeat after me. I would like to feed your fingertips to the Wolverines.
To the Wolverines.
Next.
Live from New York.
Live from New York.
Live from New York.
Live from New York.
Live from New York. It's Saturday night.
Your host, Tina Fey. Ladies and gentlemen, Tina Fey.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Tina Fey, and right now I'm where most actresses my age end up, on display in a museum exhibit.
Why don't we just go to Final Jeopardy? Category was numbers, and you wrote the letter V. Well, I tell you what, my friend, V is a Roman numeral, so despite your best efforts, you answered correctly. Let's see what you wagered. Suck it. That's all the time we have. Good night.
It's Weekend Update with Colin Jost and Michael Che.
What's up, everyone?
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost, and here are tonight's top stories.
Thank you very much. That's terrific. One other thing. What'd you bet? Do you think you could break a 20?
I say there should be more violins on television and less game shows. It's terrible the way things... What?
Mr. Teller, that was violence on television, not violins. Violence.
Oh, well, that's different.
Yes.
Never mind.
I am Beldar.
I am Primat.
Okay, Beldar Conehead. That's great. Now, it says you're currently employed as a driving school instructor?
Correct.
Hey, isn't this the drink the astronauts took to the moon?
Astronauts to the moon.
Here is a thing I will tell you. that two most swinging foxes had the hots on for us and are coming here tonight to let us hold on to their big American breasts.
What you got there?
I'll tell you what, I want some.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, hey, you know, I got a great idea.
Yeah, go on.
Hey,
then.
why don't you go out and do the rooster? Hey, but I'm not sick. Do the rooster, go out like that.
Wow, Pete, I have to say your balls are so tender.
Well, there's no beating my balls. They're made from a secret Schweddy family recipe.
By the way, it's official. I can't have children.
What are you doing here? Just showing Karina some chords. It's platonic, Stuart. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and leave. What's the best way out of here? Doesn't Sawtell go all the way to the town?
Nobody asked you, Devin. Get out of here.
Just trying to help.
I said get on the on-ramp to the 405 and get out of here.
And the most expensive gift ever given away on Oprah's Favorite Things? A DVD handycam valued at over $900!
Listen, Harry, if you're unhappy with my work, tell me now!
You're through! Do you hear me? Through! You'll never work in this town again!
Don't leave me hanging by a thread! Let me know where I stand!
I think you're the worst actor I've ever seen, and I get 500 letters a day telling me the same!
What's the word on the street?
Thank you. Good night.
Many of us have grown up watching SNL. It's not only a part of our American culture, but it's a part of our personal histories. After seeing this great exhibition, I can see why executive producer Lauren Michaels says, "We don't start the show because we're ready. We start the show because it's 11:30. Thanks for joining us on Museum Access, where every visit is an adventure. See you next time.